be a reflection of both our growth electorally, but also in respect of membership figures, as well as the institutional maturity and integrity of the Democratic Alliance. So this weekend's Congress is the culmination of a process that started more than a year ago, when we internally started verifying membership, auditing membership, launching and relaunching our branches, which then also flowed into constituency annual general meetings. Some provinces have already had their own congresses. The others will follow after the Federal Congress, and all of that is a cycle of institutional integrity on which we are exceptionally proud as the Democratic Alliance. So in respect of this weekend's Congress, we can also say that from delegate nomination and verification to final logistical coordination, every element has been carefully planned and successfully executed, maybe with the one exception of power, but that's of course slightly out of our hands, and that's why the noise is with you today. We have alerted Helen as the mayoral candidate for Joburg that a permanent fix for at least this area should be at the top of her priority. Otherwise, we're not returning here for the next Federal Congress. So, delegates from all provinces and even a few from our overseas structure, DA abroad as we call it, will be represented here this weekend, ensuring that this Congress truly reflects the full breadth and diversity of the party. We are happy, as Nazli has said, that our accreditation systems, our venue readiness, our voting processes, and our delegate coordination has been both tested, and as it is unfolding, it's quite clear that it has been tested successfully. So we're quite confident at this point in time that the DA Federal Congress will be as slick and as professional as South Africans has come to expect of us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Werner, and absolutely we are expecting a seamless and very successful Federal Congress over this weekend. I'd like now to introduce you to the second presiding officer, Bridget Masango.
Thank you, Nestle. Good afternoon, and thank you so much for coming this afternoon. My role today before you is to just briefly summarize what the role of a presiding officer is in the Democratic Alliance. We are central as a presiding officer to the integrity of Congress, and our responsibility is to make sure that we safeguard the integrity of the proceedings and ensure that all processes are conducted fairly and they are conducted transparently and in line with the Democratic Alliance's constitution. We act as neutral custodians of the process, and that includes overseeing the voting process, ensuring compliance to the rules, and maintaining order during the proceedings. So the delegates and the candidate and South Africa can be confident in the fairness and credibility of the DA Congress, Federal Congress this weekend. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Bridget Masango. I'd like to call up now the presiding officer for the Federal Council, Desiree van der Walt.
Thank you, Nestle, and good afternoon to everybody. Yes, my duty as presiding officer of the Federal Council relates to the governance framework that underpins this Congress. The candidate process has been conducted in line with the DA's democratic and transparent internal systems under the oversight structures of our party. Federal Council plays a critical role in ensuring that all organisational processes leading up to Congress are credible, compliant and constitutionally sound. These processes reflect a party that is serious about internal democracy, accountability, and good governance. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Desiree. I'd like to now introduce my co-DA Congress spokesperson, Luyolo Mpiti.
All right, good afternoon to everyone, and I'd like to thank everybody for being here. My name is Luyolo Mpiti, and as Nasli has said, I'm the co-Congress spokesperson. Just to say that from a communication point of view and an operational perspective, we are fully prepared to host members of the media. Registration and accreditation processes have been designed to have a smooth outcome and to ensure that you all have an efficient experience here with us over the course of the next 2 days. And as I've said, Congress will unfold over the next 2 days. We will indicate the program on the days as it happens. But I think most importantly now, to the people sitting side by side to me, is to then be able to take questions from the media on the different presentations that our presiding officers have provided. This also includes our presiding officer of the Federal Council, who has just recently spoken, Desiree van der Walt. So with that said, I would like to then invite our media colleagues to then ask questions. We will take it in threes, and then please direct to who you would like the question to be directed to, and then please indicate which media house you are from, and then we will then direct the colleagues here with me to then take those questions. So without further ado, I'd like to then take those hands. We will start with the first three that I see. Nzaqala ngawe sisi wami 2 noSisi Lizeka. Enkosi.
Thank you so much. It's Wikanyo, MDN TV. My first question is in connection with the number of delegates. I just want to check how did you ensure that there is a broad fairness of representative in all structures across the province? And my second question, I'll come after. Can I just proceed?
I mean, you can go ahead. Just
Thank you so much. My second question is in relation with the policy structure. Are you anticipating to restructure the policy, looking at the economic policy, especially with regard to what has just happened with disagreement with the Elon Musk Starlink, where he wanted to somehow seek exemption in terms of the transformation policy that we have in our country. So I was just checking with the DA that in this Federation Congress, are you anticipating on changing on the economic policy? My last question is in connection with the coalition. As we have witnessed that there is a tension with the current coalition government. Are you working on being in coalition with other political structures that might be in the same ideology as you? Thank you.
thank you very much. I'll move over to you.
I'm Bongekile Matsupe from News 24. Can we please just get a breakdown of the delegates from each province? And also just for clarity, because the processes can be quite confusing. So Bridget and Verna, they are, yes, and then what is she? Like just that distinction and how that voting works. Because I understand that there's different ways of voting for different leaders. If you can explain that as well. Thanks.
Okay, and then Sis Lizek as the last question.
Oh, okay. You're holding it for me. Lizeka Tandwa from the Sunday Times. Just 2 questions. You've spoken about transparency. I'm wondering if you can be transparent about how much this Congress is going to set you back as the DA. The selection panel, if you can just give us a clarity of who was in the selection panel. Was the Deputy Federal Council Chair in the selection panel, given that he is one of the candidates? How did that work?
All right, thank you very much. I think I can start off with you, Werner, to take on the first couple of questions, and then we take it from there. Thank you.
Okay, so there was the question about representation and fairness, as well as one around the breakdown of delegates between provinces. So in terms of our federal constitution, the federal executive determines the size of the Congress. In this specific Congress, it was determined to be just under 2,200, 2,185 delegate positions has been allocated. What then must also be understood is that our federal constitution determines that no fewer than 45% of all delegates must represent branches. So that would mean they may not be public representatives of the party. So if you do the rough calculations, and now I'm possibly going to show my 30% pass rate for maths, it would mean that about 1,000 of the 2,185 possibly would represent branches here. So that is ultimately to ensure representation and diversity, and to ensure that both that our congresses are not dominated in a major way by our public representatives. So all of our members of parliament and all of our members of the different provincial legislatures are automatically delegates to Congress. But in the case of councillors, where we have, I think, roughly now between 1,600 and 800 councillors countrywide, it would then follow that not all councillors are represented at this Congress. And we have an internal process also where caucuses elect from within their own ranks those councillors that would represent those caucuses and provinces. In terms of the provincial breakdown, I don't explicitly have it at hand. What I can say is that the provincial breakdown is based on the contribution of every province to our total number of votes in the last election of a national nature. So that would then mean, those of you who follow elections, that of course Gauteng and the Western Cape, who contributes the bulk of our votes, will have the bulk of our delegates. But it doesn't mean that there's any province or municipality, for that matter, that's not represented at this specific Congress. And then lastly, as I say, about 10 delegates from our DA abroad structures make up the small balance that remain. In terms of policy considerations, yes, indeed, a number of policy proposals will serve before Congress. As a matter of fact, there has been received so many that I think for the first time ever, both on Saturday and Sunday, some of those policy resolutions will serve. And a few of the, I want to say, the spillover in terms of time management has been delegated to the Federal Council as well. And in terms of the economic policy or the redress policy, there is no updated version of the policy to serve before this Federal Congress. But you would be aware that we also had, as our Constitution demands, a policy conference in the last 12 months before the Congress, where our version of what we call our economic inclusion policy, and it's on that basis that we say we're no longer in favor, or we have never been really, we're not in favor of ANC-style triple BEE, and where we advocate for the use of poverty as the criterion to determine whether individuals must qualify in terms of redress assistance. So that would be, I would think, the ones I would deal with, Loyola, if it's fine. And then maybe Desiree can speak about the difference between Federal Congress and Federal Council, and maybe some of you might deal with the other Tamalekis.
Thank you. I'm going to ask Desiree and then Nasli to just take the bulk of that, and then we will then continue with the last bit of the questions.